The AssemblyTV studio. This is the studio for 4K intros, and I'm your host, Teppo Isperia Suominen. With me here are Rimina, Seven, and Moby.
Nobi.
Nobi, sorry. I was thinking Moby, and I was like, no, that's the whale. My bad. Welcome, guys. So, 4K, 12 entries, opening remarks. What did you think?
Well, at least we had good amount of entries. And some of them were really brilliant, and maybe some first-timers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the impression that the 1Ks and 4Ks kind of fish in the same coder pool, so if there are not much 1Ks, there are plenty of 4Ks, which is nice that there's a good competition, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say the overall compo quality was a bit average, but there were a few entries that appealed to me personally.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, let's actually go to the entry straight off. First one was real-time virginity, apparently somebody's first 4K. And we had a bit of a technical bug at the start, so we heard it without audio, well, saw it without audio first. And it worked even that way, an interesting demo.
Yeah. Yeah, but it did have actually quite nice audio when we actually got the audio, and it was actually danceable. Yeah,
and it was funny, the greetings and yeah.
Yeah, it was funny, and I kind of also liked the plasma kind of thing that were going on there. Yeah, not bad at all.
Okay. Second up was the day in the life of admin, with a bit of a talk over plot there. What did you guys think?
I mean, I don't think the whole concept was communicated that well in there, which is what I had an issue with. But I appreciate when you try to incorporate this kind of narrative into 4K, especially with vocals, even if it's just like the host system synthesizer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kind of speech synthesizer thing kind of told the story quite nice, but it kind of overstayed welcome a bit.
Yeah. It didn't really get to sort of an ending there. It just looped its own story.
Yeah, but I think it has some brilliant visuals, like the reflection and stuff like that. So technically wise, it was again decent entry. Yeah,
really cool things, especially when you got the reflections from inside the objects. Those were really cool. Number 3, audio visual. Really screechy audio for me, but other than that, it looked really cool.
Yeah, it had very clean visuals, but yeah, it was a bit repetitive. It was a JavaScript entry, I believe.
Yeah, WebGL?
Yeah, it was WebGL entry, which can actually explain a bit about the audio. We don't have that much tools to generate audio on 4K WebGL entries, but what comes to the visual things, I don't think that WebGL has any kind of shortcomings. Maybe it has bit of shortcoming when it comes to packing.
Yeah.
And but yeah.
Then there was Plasma Lamp's Dance of Freedom.
With the meta balls.
Yeah, crinkler balls. Yeah. There.
Just one of these first full screen quad shader attempts seemed like to me. Well, maybe not, but looked nice enough.
Okay. Number 5 was, I forgot its name, I have to check. The Golden Shower. I loved the light visuals on this one. Really well made.
Yeah, the golden material looked very nice. There were sometimes artifacts that you weren't sure, is this an intentional artistic choice, or is it an, It
kind of seemed like it had graphical glitches there sometimes, but it might have been a choice and not a mistake, but...
Yeah, what I think is sometimes aliasing can be actually your friend when you're doing reflective stuff, because some people may actually think that those are microfacades, even though they are just aliasing. But yeah, it works.
Okay. Then there was number 6, Häiriökuilu.
Yeah, I think this was by Rale, who has made a lot of demo scene productions. This is I think if I recall correctly, this is one of his groups He hasn't been doing, especially under this label recently, but I believe it was on Linux, and it was like one of the better ones.
Yeah,
made for that
very
platform.
polished. It felt finished.
Yeah, I particularly like the kind of cartoonish shading there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have written here that it had a good soundtrack, so at least I like the music actually.
Yeah, very happy.
Okay, then one that we could stop by and watch a clip of. Number 7, Bloody Brilliant. Let's have a clip of this. Or we can just watch me. There we go.
I think that was the first demo that had recognizable objects, which are harder to do, or at least take more space than people appreciate.
Yeah. It also has some kind of story that it tells,
Yeah.
and it tells it actually quite good.
Yeah, the story was easy to follow, but it still left some parts open. Like at the ending, when you still have the little green pulsating ball there, like, is this gonna repeat? What's going to happen?
Yeah, they left room for a sequel, obviously.
Yeah. But the recognizable object is actually interesting because, well, you want them for a demo, of course, but then it takes more room, especially in 1K and 4K. So do you want to do a recognizable thing or something completely different, something that's easier, that takes less space? It's always a bit of a choice.
Yeah. If it means something to do the recognizable thing, if it helps you to tell the story that you are trying to tell, then go with the recognizable objects, but just keep it simple and focus on them. And I think this intro really did that.
Yeah,
It did that well. It had one story, it focused on it, and it told it well.
Yeah. Personally, I really like demos and intros that have a story. It works for me. Do you guys want a story from your demos, or?
I have a soft spot for story intros. I like those, yes.
I don't particularly look for. I mean, I just want something good, and whether or not it has a story is secondary. But I appreciate the ambition because it's not trivial to do this in this file size, so that it actually pulls off some kind of a narrative.
Okay.
I think in general stories, they're nice the first time you watch it, so it kind of, I think it helps an intro placing higher in the competition, but it hurts rewatchability. You're not as quickly going to watch it 3 or 4 times because, you know the story.
I like these story intros as well, but it needs to have the story told well.
Yeah.
Because if you are trying to do a story and then you kind of fail to execute it, then it just kind of goes blah.
Yeah.
And then it's actually better to go with some abstract stuff and focus on, for example, music and visualizing the music and transferring the vibes.
Yeah.
But I like both, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Number 8. Musiikkia ja visuaaleja, which was exactly what it promised us. It was music and visuals.
Yeah, and I believe this is by Ysi because, well, I sort of recognize this mischievous like naming conventions, and it's also mentioned compostudio, which is this new small framework for quickly creating very simple 4K intros. So, well, he has been sending this framework to a few people, including myself. So it might have been someone else, but well, it has his name written all over it stylistically. So.
And well, it had really nice music. The song itself could have even been in yesterday's music compos and fared well, I think.
Yeah, it is typical his style. This like Eurodance Schlager crossover thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the audio was really, really good. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Then another one we could watch a clip of, number 9, Main. I think I mentioned this will give me nightmares, but really well made still.
camera motion is pretty nice, synchronized with the music, and really
Yeah.
adds
Yeah.
to the atmosphere.
Yeah, this whole intro had really good direction sense,
Yeah.
it-
And
go on.
yeah, and that animation of the hand is quite. Yeah.
It felt like somebody really had an idea and really wanted to make it work, and just they really got it. It works, at least for me. The idea comes across.
Yeah, the direction was good, and yeah, it did have a bit of a humor as well, even though it was kind of dark.
Yeah. Anything on this one?
No.
All right. And then next up was a placeholder, which we wanted to see a clip of as well, due to the rendering of it.
Yeah, this had some, well, it only lasted like 15 seconds or something, so I didn't have, and it was like very hectic and very shallow depth of field, so it was like going all over the place, but you couldn't really make out too much of it, but it was visually very impressive. I mean, personally, I wouldn't have like too much of an idea how I would approach like starting to put something like that into a 4K.
Yeah.
I mean, at least usually you notice some kind of like rendering artifacts at least somewhere, but it was quite flawless from what I saw in that little preview.
It was really clean.
Yeah, and it had reflections, glow, depth of fields. Altogether, I think it had the best visuals of the entire combo, but yeah, very short and kind of chaotic music.
Yeah. It was a hectic, but very well made. Then there was number 11, the Humpatunneli, which to me felt like a DJ visualizer set more than a demo most of the time.
But that's one type of an intro that you can do.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't always need to be a demo-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a nice particle rendering. Yeah.
Yeah.
The dot tunnels.
And it has a loader bar.
And once it got to the part where it brought objects in, it like the floaty balls, and when it wasn't just the tunnel part, it kind of went to places, because the tunnel itself was just colors swapping out, but once it got the objects in there, forgetting words here. Once the floating objects came in, it changed the whole scene of the intro, for me at least.
Yeah. For me, it felt more like I would have watched more about these changing colors, like do one thing, do it well, and don't try to push everything there. I like the effects on the later parts, and it was really, really good intro in the kind of overall thing.
Yeah.
But the floating balls I would have maybe left.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, at the so the second half had like colors that were a bit colder colors. I think at some points the like rippling meta balls had colors that I think were just the normals shown as colors, which is this very distinct RGB.
And it wasn't even like absolute values. They had like the negative normals as well, so I had like big black splotches there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Then the last entry, number 12, Primordial Soup, which we could watch a small clip of as well.
This is one that actually runs on FreeBSD. That's also something you don't see every day.
Yeah, they also write their own whole tools at like the Packer and music soft versions and everything.
Okay.
I really love the fogginess of this.
Yeah.
And this kind of, I don't know if those are actually L systems or something, but yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, it could be IFS fractals as well. They have kind of similar results.
Yeah, true.
I like this fading effect because it's like sort of appears like there's something like moving across the camera, and then there's like a cut in between. That
I kept on thinking like someone's blinking.
Yeah,
that's true as well.
yeah, it's
Could be that.
creamy.
Yeah, it was very dreamy, and I think visually maybe this was the most harmonic one with the colors and the style thought out really well.
I was personally most interested in the music in this one because it's just compositionally it's right up my alley because there's like really serene, tender chords and just building the song on top of that without any like otherwise traditional strong song structure or rhythm or stuff like that.
Yeah, it was lovely ambient soundtrack with
And
very good tunes.
And the bacteria were like breathing a little, or yeah, so it also fitted with the music.
Yeah.
And those worms, like this growing
Yeah.
red worms at the end, also looked great. I liked it a lot.
And I think this was a good mix of doing like sync with audio and well thought out visuals, and a bit of a story element there as well, with the name Primordial Soup, and then you get bacteria and then the worms, and it's kind of progressing, but it never goes that far. Like for me, it was a good balance between these things.
This was also, I'm not sure, this was originally this intro was supposed to be released at Revision actually, but creators didn't manage to have it running on the compo machine. I'm not sure if they spent some time afterwards polishing it up maybe, so that might explain some of the details there.
So there is many hours work behind that one.
Yeah.
And probably many hours work behind almost all the intros in the compo. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for everyone to doing those intros. We love those. Do more intros.
Yes, do more intros. 4K, 12 entries, closing remarks. What did you guys feel about this year? We got a lot of 4Ks at least this year, like we discussed earlier, so anything that really stood out as a thing for this year, or something that made you go, wow, I never figured you could do that on a 4K?
The number 10 honestly kind of did that for me, but just that was all about everything it did for me. But that's the one that made most impressed me in a way. But the number 12 is my favorite from the compo.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel similar. I have the idea that with more work, the placeholder one could probably be a winner, but the lack of just additional scenes and polishing, makes it a placeholder.
Yeah.
The Primordial Soup is a very, very nice one, and I think the Bloody Brilliant and the Hands one are kind of tied in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say also I have no idea like which one is going to win this, because there's no clear winner or something like that for me at least. I love the animation of the hand.
Yeah.
And the Bloody Brilliant. It was Bloody Brilliant. Yeah, indeed. Then again, the rendering on the placeholder was really cool.
Yeah.
Even though it's short and might not look that brilliant, but it is actually brilliant.
It kind of shows us that this is something that you can do on a 4K, and really hoping someone picks it up and runs with it.
Yeah. And well, the Primordial Soup was really, really nice. I liked the ambience of it, and I think it had a good direction, good content, and I just love it. Yeah.
Okay. So overall, a really good competition anyway. So that's it for the 4K compo. We'll wait for results tomorrow, and we have more demos to come with, I think, 64K up next. So thank you guys for joining me in the studio. Thank you for the discussion and comments, and we're going to head out and watch more compos. AssemblyTV out.